Hello, good morning, happy Tuesday. Welcome to this week's coffee chat. We are talking all about what I just came up with that I'm calling aligned nutrition. I'm sure somebody else has called it that before, but I got asked this week in my DMs if we could talk about how to figure out what is actually healthy for you and in terms of gluten and dairy and meat, and every single week the diet industry is saying something different on the topic. So I'm going to set the record straight, knowing what I know from going through an entire nutrition degree as well as working with dozens, possibly 100 clients over the past 3 years. So this is what I know to be true about nutrition. They don't actually know anything. Unfortunately, when it comes to nutrition and research, they can't do a controlled study on nutrition. So for example, when there's a new drug about to hit the market, they do a controlled study where there's two separate groups of people. One person or one group gets the drug, the other group gets a placebo, and they see the results and compare them, and then they can definitively say, yes, this drug works, or no, this drug does not work, because they had that controlled test. Unfortunately, with nutrition, you can't do that because it'd be really unethical to keep people in a room for a week and be like, you can only eat this food. And food interacts differently for every single person. So what I teach to all of my clients and what I practice personally is a combination of what I like to call aligned eating and intuitive eating. So you may have heard of intuitive eating before. It's the idea that you listen to your own body's signals to know what to eat and how much. And the best way to do that is to keep a food log. And no, I don't mean download MyFitnessPal and start counting calories. Don't look at macros. Don't worry about any of that. Just literally writing down, for breakfast I had a cup of coffee and a beach bar. For lunch I had a sandwich with blah, blah, blah on it. And keeping a log of what you're eating, so that way you can look back at that log and say, I feel really bloated. What did I eat for lunch? My skin's been breaking out a lot recently. What have I been eating recently that I wasn't eating previously? And looking back at this food log, you start to create your own, I hate to use the word diet, but it's the best way to describe it, your own diet, your habits of eating. So if you start to write down every single day, just simply what you eat, you don't have to measure, you don't have to weigh it, you'll start to see patterns of, yes, this agrees with my body, no, this doesn't agree with my body. Because the truth is, like I said, the diet industry, they can't prove yes or no for a lot of different topics, unfortunately, just because the way our bodies work. And even if they were to say definitively, gluten is bad for you, or dairy is bad for you, or whatever should be avoided, which they do all the time. But even if they were to say that, it wouldn't necessarily be correct for you, because we're all different. So for example, me keeping my own food log, I now know that pasta does not agree with me. No matter what kind it is, even if it's whole wheat, it doesn't agree with my body. I almost instantaneously bloat, unfortunately. And it's so sad because I love pasta. But knowing that now, I know that if I'm about to have a date night with Sasha, don't eat pasta because I'm going to feel disgusting and not want to do anything, if you catch my drift. But don't think that just because something doesn't agree with your body, that means you can never have it again. Unless, little disclaimer here, if you are allergic or intolerant to something, obviously don't have it. Your body clearly does not need it in its system. It is not a good idea. But for example, me with the pasta situation, knowing that pasta doesn't agree with my body, I'll find alternatives like spaghetti squash or zoodles or something to that effect. But if I want a bowl of pasta, I'll eat a bowl of pasta. I just know what will happen. And intuitive eating really helps you get in tune with your own body so that way you know these things and you can set yourself up for success. So if you know, for example, sometimes eggs don't agree with certain people. Sometimes it's just dairy. It's a million different things. But if you knew that dairy doesn't agree with your body, well then having yogurt for breakfast is not a great idea because you're not going to feel good all day. And that's kind of where aligned eating comes in as well. It's looking at how do I want to feel today, what food is going to empower me, what food is going to make me feel good, and using food almost as a spiritual tool. So one example of that is I love Starbucks lattes. They make me feel luxurious, they make me feel high vibe, they make me feel amazing. If I'm in a bad mood, I'll go get a Starbucks latte because it immediately puts me back into a good mood because it feels aligned. Is it the healthiest thing? Probably not. Is it something that'll give my body a lot of energy or fuel or help my performance? Probably not, but it's a high vibration for me. Another high vibration food for you would maybe be a treat that your parents only made once a year. Maybe there's a certain cookie that your parents only made around Christmas, or there's a certain dish that you only had at a holiday. That is a high vibrational food. It makes you feel good. And I want you to remember that what you focus on expands when you eat. So if you're eating a food and all you're focusing on is, oh my God, it has so many carbs. Oh my goodness, there's so much sugar in it. It's gonna go straight to my thighs. I'm gonna gain all this weight, and you're going crazy when you're about to eat this food. That's not a high vibe food. That's not the mindset you wanna be in when you're eating. So instead, focus on the positive of what you're eating. So even if you're eating something that may not be the healthiest according to the experts, what can you find that's good in it? For example, a couple weeks ago, me and Sasha went and got cider donuts. Nobody would argue that donuts are the healthiest thing in the world, but instead of focusing on, oh my gosh, there's so much sugar in these, oh my gosh, they were fried, donuts are unhealthy, blah, 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 and going on this negativity rampage, I decided to look at the positive. What's the positive of these donuts? They're handmade. They're made locally here in Vermont with Vermont apples. They are delicious. We only get them once a year, and it reminds me of the first time me and Sasha went on a fall hike. I turned it into a high vibe, and you can change the frequency of your food by how you look at it. That's why so many religions and cultures bless or pray over their food. Maybe they don't realize that frequency and vibration are a thing, but they're changing the vibration of the food. So when it comes to nutrition, instead of focusing on another diet, or instead of listening to whatever expert says, you should do two things. Number one, keep a food log and figure out what is aligned for you. Every single body is different. Everybody's body is going to react differently to different foods and different food combinations. If you start keeping a log every day, you're going to start to see patterns of, when I eat this, I feel really good, but when I eat this, I feel really bloated and gassy and get a lot of brain fog. And then you'll be able to start figuring out, I feel my best when I eat like this, and you can start eating like that more, even if it doesn't perfectly align with the diet industry. Because like I said, they change their rules every single week. I wouldn't consider them a very reliable resource. You have all the answers inside of you. So first things first, keep a food log and figure out what your body likes. And then the second thing is be mindful of what you are thinking about when you're eating certain foods. If you believe that that certain food is going to make you fat, you're literally speaking it into existence. If you look at a certain food and look at how much love was put into making it, the special memories behind that food, how delicious it is, it's gonna react completely different in your body. Your thoughts create your reality. If that is true with manifesting money, and it's true with manifesting love and your dream house and everything else, it is also true with food in your body. You are so much more powerful than you think. So throw out everything the diet industry says, throw out everything you may have heard growing up about food, throw out the diet books, throw out all of that crap, and start listening to yourself. Your body knows best. You know best. You have all the answers inside of you. You don't need anybody else to tell you that. And if you have somebody coming to you saying, this is the only way to hit your goals, you have to follow this, this, and this is the best way, it's the only way, they don't know what the F they're talking about. There's a million and one ways to be healthy. Listen to yourself. And if you want to dive more into this, this is literally the entire concept of my new course, Elevate Yourself in Health. And we also chat about it with all of my one-on-one coaching clients. So if you want to dive more into intuitive eating, aligned nutrition, as I like to call it, as well as manifesting frequency, vibration, all of that stuff, I have spots open in one-on-one coaching, and Elevate Yourself in Health is up on my website if you want to join in. But I have to actually go prep for a one-on-one coaching call, so I will see you next week for coffee chat. Feel free to send me any suggestions throughout the week. I am open to talking to anything, and I'll put this recording up as soon as possible. Bye, babes.